Good morning, New Hampshire. This is NewHampshireTrackandField.com, powered by Runner's Alley, coming to you from Co-Brown's Black Bear Invitational in Northwood, New Hampshire today. The broadcast and the Meet Hub is being brought to you by William Verway Physical Therapy, your running experts. And we are about to get underway with our first event here.
Yeah, the gun's up.
Yeah.
And
The
they're
girls' 3,200 is underway. And in this invitational, it's kind of a switch up. We usually would see a 4x8 with the first event, but here at Co-Brown, they like to switch things up, and they do the 2 mile first, and they move the 4x8 to the 2 mile position at the end of the meet.
Yeah, I in particular, I like that. I have primarily distance kids and stuff like that, so it gives your 2 milers the opportunity to hit a race. Normally, if they're going to run 2 races in a day, they're going to have to run the mile first, and then they got to come back in the 2 mile. So if they're going to do anything special in the 2 mile, they kind of have to save up the mile, it's just not a really great way to do it. So,
for those of you who don't know that voice, that's Mike Smith from Messinic Regional High School. Dave Zink, and we'll be broadcasting for you today.
I'll be in and out.
Mike will be in and out. Yeah.
Looks like early leader is. I would guess that's Callie Coffin of South. She was the number 1 seed going in, if I remember correctly. And she's got about, I don't know, it looks like 10 meters on.
Close to that, yeah.
Another South girl.
And then there's the pack behind.
Yeah, it looks like Lauren Robinson being tailed by Addie Cox. We'll see what their splits are. Come through in about 77 for the lead. And the chase packs come through in about 123.
Riley in that pack as well.
Rachel Hurley from Conval. You got Claire Vaverka behind that. It's a pretty loaded field. I like how I'm a big fan of loading everybody up and letting them run in the championship race. You can't always do it, but where you can, especially in a race like the 2 mile.
Good competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and by putting the 2 mile first, it really lets these kids, kind of meter their effort to where they want to be.
Right.
If this is their only event of the day, they can really let it all out.
All right, so we got Coffin up in front, and she opened up about 25 meters.
Yeah.
Back to the second South girl that I'm not familiar with, and then it's Lauren Robinson, Addie Cox,
Alice Riley. And I think that's a Souhegan runner.
Yeah, I can see behind that is Hurley, another Cole Brown, Claire Vaverka of Conval. I'm wondering, those are some good names in there. You got to be thinking that they're just letting the race come, and at some point they're going to start chasing down the front of the pack. They've now since swallowed up the second South girl.
Yep, but they're still a good 40 meters behind.
Yeah, 240 through the 800.
Chase pack about 248. But if they can stay and work together and reel her back in.
Yeah. She doesn't seem to be gaining ground anymore.
Right.
It seemed to be about seeing the same. And Lauren Robinson definitely spearheading at looks like she's decided to make a step forward. And she's got Addie Cox trailing, the second South girl. Alice Riley of Belmont. 2 girls from Conval. Again, they're halfway through the 3rd lap, and looks like the gap's staying about the same. Take a look when they come around.
Our leader's gone out just under 11-minute pace, so that's solid. That's a great, solid time.
We don't. I was gonna say, I don't. In my division, we don't see Nashua South very often, but Callie Coffin has had sensational cross-country season, great indoor season.
Yep.
And it's no surprise that as the number 1 seed that she's going to be out in the front dictating everything.
Well, these invitationals do grant some of these smaller schools and larger schools a chance to compete against each other, and you wouldn't normally see that until much later in the season at the Meet of Champions.
So that chase pack is now bunched up pretty good, going through in 4:15. So
she has gained 2 seconds on them. Oh. So she's opened up a little bit wider lead. There
is now a definitive separation between the second pack, the chase pack, and the second pack behind that. So the chase pack, I guess, in the second pack.
Yeah.
A few athletes strung out here.
And teams were asked to limit their 3,200 entries to their varsity athletes. There was a standard that these runners did have to meet in order to get in, and then they took the top 25 correct.
From that. So it does look like that gap, the chase pack must have slowed up a little bit because it does look like that gap is widening.
Expanded a little bit too. Yeah.
She's got pretty close to
60
almost
meters
60
on
meters,
her.
On the chase. And it looks like we got Rachel Hurley leading the
and Lauren Robinson
chase pack. Yeah. So at the mile, she's going to be about 5:30, 5:31 maybe.
Right around 11 minutes. That's still a good pace.
And isn't this interesting? We got the number 2 seed, the second girl from Nashua South.
Yeah, right
now, right on the shoulder of the chase leaders. She might have they might have swallowed her up, but they didn't spit her out.
They didn't get She wasn't passed right through the pack.
Right.
And that chase pack is right around 11:25 pace.
That's not
which isn't
not
bad
that
at
slow
all
at this point either. It's been tough, especially I think early season. The cold weather is definitely bad for sprinters, but it's also tough to put together the type of not just consistent training, but even the competitive effort levels to kind of feel it. So a lot of these kids are kind of feeling this out for the first time.
Right.
Trying to figure out, am I saving too much? Am I going too hard? I know I got 2 guys in the next race, and they're trying to figure out, how do I go about attacking this? They know the front of the race is going to be faster than they can handle because they just haven't had the opportunity to run that fast.
So it's about finding their spot.
Finding their spot, and then I'm hoping that they're going to be able to work on the pack after the halfway mark. We'll see if they can do that. Here we are through 5 laps. She's 6:55. She glanced over at the clock, so she knows what she's up against.
Experienced runners know.
Yeah. She must have had some sense of where she wanted to be.
Still right around that 11-minute pace.
All right. We got Lauren Robinson in the lead of the chase pack. Rachel Hurley, Claire Ververka, the South girl. One of the girls from Sauhegan. So this is solid racing.
Yep. And they're still holding around that 11:26, 11:27. Looks like Rachel Hurley's made a little bit of a move on the rest of that secondary pack.
Yeah, she had moved to the front at one point before, but she must have said, I know I can get in from here, so I might as well get going.
They're not as closely bunched as they were
2 laps ago. Definitely strung out a little bit.
Yep.
I was a little nervous you might see somebody tripping over somebody. McCallie's now passing the back of the field, coming off that turn, and she's got about 3 girls already on her belt that she's gone by.
Yep. Now it gets interesting for the race officials to keep track of who is on what lap. And she's now passed somebody, or she's passed
with
3
laps
runners,
to go,
4
8,
runners
18.
now.
It's good. I mean, this will probably work out well for her because now she's going to have some people in her sights, so she's going to be able to actually start chasing some people around, which is handy. And they're spread out enough that they're not really going to be getting in her way.
Yep.
So. Hey, Rachel Hurley definitely leading the chase pack with Lauren Robinson and Claire Ververka.
Close behind. Looks like that 3rd through 6th position is still kind of a toss-up.
Yeah, they got running room. Well, Coffin's about 500 meters from this win.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody reeling her in, not with that big a lead. She's sitting on approximately about 100 meters, I would guess. All right, we're approaching the bell lap. She's 30 meters from the last one, and she definitely is going to the arms.
1 lap to go.
And she just tried to
she's
stomp
got
on it.
100 meters on this. It's on Lauren. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it looks like Rachel Hurley followed closely, really. I mean, there's about 5 meters separating Lauren Robinson. Claire Vaverka's going to the arms. Number 2 girl from South is working.
Yep.
And I think next up we got Addie Cox and the Souhegan girl.
Yep.
I think that's Marissa. Again, we don't race him very often, so I don't get to see him very often. All right.
200 to go.
200 to go, and she's definitely moving. Lauren Robinson just went to the lead of the chase pack and is blowing by Rachel. Rachel is doing everything she can to hold on
to it. Yeah.
Second girl from South has gone straight to the arms, and she is chasing hard. Claire Vaverka, I guess that would be for 5th right now.
Yeah.
But it's all Callie Coffin. She's got less than 70 meters to go. She's looking smooth. It's going to be a good win for her. She's definitely working, but at the same time, she looks like she's definitely in control.
Yep.
Glancing up at the scoreboard.
11:01 unofficially. Good early season time.
Okay, and they've come off the corner. It looks like Lauren Robinson has regained the lead. There's been a lot of lead changes in that.
And then Rachel Hurley.
Girl from South, Claire Vaverka, and we got a fight between Souhegan and
Addison Cox from
Co-Brown. Follow Alice Riley.
Yep.
Alice Riley had a good last lap.
Yeah.
Because she had been off that path.
She was well behind.
All right, well, there it is. First race in the books.
Yep.
I'm going to go take my place on the track and yell at my guys.
Thanks for helping out, Mike.
All right, you're welcome.
So up next, we're going to have the boys 3,200.
Still have a few runners.
Few girls finishing up.
Finishing up now.
It is a big field, but they do stretch out quite a bit in their 8 laps. Looks like our final runners are now on the straightaway.
Maybe one more.
Oh, no, I see one more on the turn.
A lot of runners taking advantage of having that 3,200 first thing in the day.
Right. And here we come with our last female runner. All right, so now we're ready for the boys.
Can take a look as they start to get set up now.
And some of our top runners here. David Reynolds from Merrimack Valley. Forrest McKenzie from Concord. Evan Tangway from Co-Brown. Ryan Devine from Concord. Jeffrey Allen from Campbell. Cameron Starr from Pelham.
A lot of big names that we've heard quite a bit about during cross country.
That's right. This should be a good one.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see this early in the season if anyone does have that advantage. But right now, you're going up against some of the best going at it. So.
Yep.
It'll be just another moment.
Waiting the finish line to give us the go.
See a few guys bouncing around. I would kind of expect more, as we did see a stride from Jeffrey Allen.
Yep.
But
Keeping his legs loose.
I would expect a little bit more movement on a day like this, especially from some of the top runners. They're kind of just hanging out.
I'm interested to see if this will become a tactical race or whether some of these top runners are just going to go right for the front and let it out.
Yeah, we'll be curious to see what the strategy is, if everyone's kind of waiting for that one person to push it, or if someone's already has that strategy of I'm just going to drop the hammer and see what I have.
We did get a word from our starter that they can all move off the finish line. Most of these runners already have their own their own warm-up routine that they go through, so this is not the normal start they're used to.
No.
Ideally, they want to get right to the line after completing their routine and race. And see, the black flies were already out. That did not take long.
I'll tell you what, I was up here yesterday, and it was the first day with them. It was yesterday, so they showed up just in time.
Yeah. Well, the unofficial name of this meet is the Black Fly Invitational.
But hoping we won't see a whole lot today.
No.
Sun should
All right,
break
we
out
got
at
the
some
word
point.
from the timer that they're ready to go.
White flag, so we should be rolling shortly.
As soon as the rest of these runners get to the line. Looks like some of them ran all the way down to the start of the 100.
Yeah, they're just making it a little bit longer. Make it a true 2 mile.
Yeah. Plus. Silent gun, but
They're off.
still worked. Oh.
And we're calling them back.
Okay.
It
must not have triggered the camera.
It triggered the camera. Yeah.
Well, they can get another stride in.
Just making sure they're nice and warm.
That's right. Yeah, the camera actually does need the sound.
Should be all set this time to
Yep.
go.
It's triggered from the pressure of a sound wave from the gun, and it actually does need the gun to be loud.
I've seen that a number of meets this year.
Yeah.
Across the state, just issues with the blanks going on. So it's.
Yes, it is not. Yeah, it's not limited to just invitationals. It's among all track meets. Well, that's going to be probably another one. The runners are not going to be liking this. So hopefully at some point this this starter pistol situation will get worked out before we get to our championship meets.
Yeah, it's funny kind of looking at the expressions of the kids right now. Some of them are taking it pretty easy. Some of them, just smiling it off,
Yeah.
which is the mentality you have to have with
Yeah.
this. It's,
Oh, right.
you don't have a choice.
You cannot dwell on this and let it affect you mentally. You just got to laugh it off. Everybody's in the same position, so there's no advantage or disadvantage given to these runners. It's like they're going to swap guns.
So as you were saying, in order for it to be fully automatic timing, you do need that gun.
Well,
to be
the
particular
system that they're using requires the pressure waves of something like a gunshot to actually trigger it. You'll see a little silver cylinder hanging below the gun that the timer has, or the starter has.
All right, seeing a white flag again. So hopefully these
see
runners
this?
are
Yeah.
nice, relaxed.
Yeah.
And we'll see how the new gun fares. And they're off.
That looks like it worked.
All right, so boys 3200 at the Black Bear Invitational is off. Early lead looks like from Reynolds, and maybe Jeffrey Allen pushing the pace there?
It's a Messinic runner.
Messinic?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's Mike Smith's kid. I think that was just to get himself in a good position. Mike had mentioned that he was not looking to go out with the leaders, but it's important in a race to get a good starting position so that you don't get boxed in and get pushed behind where you want to be as well.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to go out too fast, but you also don't want to get stuck, towards the back of the pack.
If you're at the
too
back,
slow.
if you're at the back right now and you need to make your way up, it's going to be a long haul to get there. So
Right.
it makes a lot of sense to get in a good spot right in that first 200. Make sure you get nice, comfortable, sit on someone's shoulder.
Yep.
And then
Yeah, the energy expenditure to get from the back of the pack around a group is something you're not wanting to do this early in the race.
Yeah, as they approach the 400, it does look like it's Reynolds
Yep.
leading it, and he's looked over his shoulder once or twice
Yep.
as they come across the line. At
He doesn't want to get stuck in a bad position either. He wants to make sure that.
Right. Yeah, that was about a 77.
Yeah. It's like the Nashua. And that's Forrest McKenzie now, who's gone right to the front.
Puts him on pace for about 10:17. So we'll see if
That's a very conservative pace for these guys.
Yeah, I'm thinking Forrest might have got word from his coach or just saw the split himself and said, I gotta take this into my own hands. And
he got cued in from somebody that it was going out slow.
Yeah, he wants to make it an honest race.
Because honestly, this is not about winning. This early in the season is about establishing a good race pattern. So that's, Forrest McKenzie, David Reynolds. And a Nashua South runner.
North, I believe.
Sorry, you're right. Nashua North. And David Cook from Concord.
Yeah, I believe that's Max Ireland, Nashua North.
Yes, number 3. Cameron Starr, Evan Tangway.
So 232 did decrease that pace a little bit, brings him down to about a 10:08. So we'll see if that trend kind of continues of going down a bit.
I would expect the next few laps will be negative splitting that first one. We take that race back under 10-minute pace.
Looks like tendency Jeffrey Allen making a couple moves. He's pretty deep in the pack right now, about 8th or so. But he just moved up a few spots, and he looks like he.
And we saw
looking
him
to do
racing
more.
last weekend at the Merrimack Valley Invitational. I believe he finished 2nd or 3rd in that race.
Yeah. Looks like we got a little bit of separation from the lead 3. So we got a pack of 3, and then trail pack, which is almost forming into a pack of 3. So it looks like a few others trying to make sure they don't lose that secondary pack. But Forrest McKenzie again.
Yep. Still continuing to push the pace.
And overall, the field, I mean, all within 100 meters. So far, not bad. Come across right around that 340 mark, which.
So now they're under 10-minute pace.
Oh yeah, that's probably about a 9:50 or so, give or take.
So they picked up quite a bit from that first opening lap. Cameron Starr leading that second pack. It's been good to see him make his way back after an injury last season.
Yeah, it kind of stuck with him much longer than what you want to see. And,
yeah.
Speaking of, I know this is Evan's first race back.
Yeah, right.
We were fortunate enough to have him commentating with us last week. However, the flip side was he's still recovering from an injury.
Yeah, it means he wasn't racing. Now, it was nice to have the high school perspective of a current athlete. We've had recent graduates helping us in our commentary before, but I think a current athlete is even more of a perspective that we want to see.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they know the exact people we're running against as we see him come across right around 452, 453, which puts us at a 944.
Yep.
So we're getting down there. Each time it's getting more consistent with it. So that's why we see that overall time dropping.
I think that lead pack would like to be, they'd like to see a 940, sub 940. Would be a great time for them early in the year.
Oh, definitely, and that is still within range. Obviously, that first lap kind of throws things off, but they're at the current pace where it should be feasible.
Right.
And then, like you were saying, with just having high school commentators, I think we'll be fortunate enough to have a few more from throughout the day. I think Forrest might actually be coming over. Not sure if he's doing anything else today. So
we might see Wyatt Mackey, I think, again. He was with us last week.
I know, I think Orion Klahar, unable to compete today. He might be joining us.
Sprinter perspective,
talk a little sprint hurdles, so I'm excited to hear what he has to say.
Good to get a mix of the high school kids, too, not just all distance runners.
Yeah, so.
All right, so this pack's closed up. Cameron Starr is now a part of it.
Yeah, 6:05, so they're still about that 9:44, so it looks like they're starting to maintain right around there. I do expect them to finish just a little bit under that 9:44, so good-looking pace now. I think everything's kind of evened out, and it does look like that top 3 might have slowed down just enough for those next two
to catch them,
Yep. So we do have that pack of 5, as you see.
And it's Jeffrey Allen sitting in 6th place, but he's kind of in no man's land right now.
He's about 40 meters back, and he's got 5 meters behind him is his next friend, so he's got to make that push all alone right now.
What he needs is one of those runners to come with him so they can make a chase at that pack, that lead pack. Still Forrest McKenzie out front, Max Ireland behind him, David Reynolds, and Cam Starr is our top 4 right now.
Yeah, and just thinking, like, knowing how these guys run, you imagine someone's got to make that move on Forrest pretty soon.
And they're going to have 2 laps to go when they get to the
And we
finish.
we see Max Ireland
Max
making
Ireland
that move
makes the move.
As thought about. So
800 meters to go.
That puts him still right around that 9:44. It looks like that lap might have dropped off just a little bit, and that could have been another
what
cause
prompted
for that
Max
move.
to make the move.
Get a good look at the finish line right now. Kind of get to see everyone.
Cameron Starr has made a move and passed Forrest McKenzie. So it would seem that Cameron's just about back to his race level. Forrest is now past him. So a little bit of a battle going on there for second place.
Does look like Forrest is struggling just a little bit. I expect that should change, but I think he'll rebound fine. But right now it's Max Ireland making that strong move, and he's maintaining that lead as they come onto that straightaway. Looks over his shoulder, though. Looking over his shoulder could give an indication of how he's feeling. He keeps checking back more than Coach would probably desire as he comes to the line.
We got 1 lap to go for Max Ireland.
Yeah, 8:30, so that's that 9:44 pace.
Just under 9:44. And then Forrest, and then Cam Starr again, David Reynolds.
Yeah, it doesn't really look like anyone's going after Max right now. He's got a nice long stride going on.
Yeah.
Forrest has his eyes up. His turnover has increased, but I don't think he's going to catch that.
He's got to make up 6 seconds on him in 300 meters, and I don't think that
right now you can
going
tell
to happen.
Max
Ireland is not slowing down.
No, he's increasing that lead. Forrest takes a look back over his shoulder, sees that no one has gone with him, so
now
he
down
might
to 7 seconds.
He might kind of just settle in that spot, knowing he can't get Max, and just go for time at this point.
Cam Starr being challenged by David Reynolds now.
So Max Ireland on that straightaway.
80 meters to go. Forrest now on the straightaway. Cam and David on the straightaway. Here is our boys winner, 3,200, Max Ireland, 9:34.
9:34, 9:35.
Nice race.
And Forrest comes in
Forrest
second.
McKenzie, 9:42. Cam Starr, 9:44, and David Reynolds, 9:45.
So definitely did see a pickup from
very
that
much,
first lap.
Yeah, very much so. From a 10:17 down to a 10:17 down to a 9:32.
Get to watch some good kicks now. I think we only had one or two runners fall off that lead lap right at the end.
Got somebody down. That Milford runner. Not injured, just kind of expended a lot of energy.
Yeah. And again, one of the great things about today's meet is we're looking at D1, D2, and D3
right.
athletes. So it's interesting because everyone has to
good field.
Run a slightly different qualifying time for their state meet.
Yep.
But they're fortunate enough to run together, get pushed, and they know.
Yeah, giving some of those smaller school runners a chance to, to actually get a quality race where they can get a good time.
Absolutely.
As you said, that some of those small schools, they may be racing by themselves for most of the season. I think we got, I believe this is our last runner. Don't see any more. $11.19. All right. Well, I think that does it for our first finals of the day. Now we're going to switch action to some lane races. It's like we've got hurdles up first.
Yeah, so again, like you were saying, that was finals. This will be trials and finals.
So we have a breakdown of the hurdle trials. The first 3 heats will be the ones moving to the finals. And then we'll have additional heats after that, but they will not be qualifying for the finals. And we'll do the same thing in the 100. Top 3 heats will be qualifying for the finals, and then the remainder of the heats will just be run.
So as the hurdles are getting set up and the runners ready to go with that, I'm hesitant, but I'm going to ask Jim McKenzie for his thoughts on that boys 3,200.
Well, it was a good race by Max Ireland.
It looked like it went out quite slow. That first lap was.
My feeling is on these type of races, and I'm not being a poor sport. Bottom line, guys, no one cares if you win.
Right. It's the time.
This type of race,
yeah.
You got to go out and you got to run hard, and to waste a good opportunity and run an 80 first quarter.
Yeah, and it looked like like it was. I don't know if it was you or his coaches, but it looked like Forrest got that message and he picked it up quite a bit after that first lap.
Yeah, we wanted to go into the 920s today. It was very capable of Max and a couple of those other guys to do that. But when you go out and you're running 80, and then everybody, no one's afraid to.
Yeah.
Everybody's
How do
afraid
you
to
make
take
up
the lead.
that 20 seconds?
Yeah, you don't.
In
You
that
don't.
one lap. It's hard to do.
And today is like the perfect day. You got a light north wind.
Yeah.
You don't get
it's
these
not
days
too
very
hot,
often.
right.
It's perfect. It just But strategy-wise, that's fine for a state championship.
Yes. When it's all about the win in the
No one cares about
championship
it's like the Olympics.
Yeah,
No one
time
cares
doesn't
what you
matter,
run.
Right.
So I wish a lot of these guys would start to realize that, winning's nice, but putting some fast times up and also looks good on your college.
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Because with all the websites now, it's nice to look in and say, hey, the kid ran a 9:30 2 mile versus a 9:55 or whatever. But I had a feeling that was going to happen. In that race.
I likewise suspected that it was going to be much more conservative that first lap because, as you look out across the field, all the athletes are thinking about what are they going to do that first lap. And, would you rather go conservative or burn yourself early? And I think most of them were thinking I'm going to go conservative.
Right.
Especially with guys like Tangway and Starr who are coming off injuries, not necessarily serious ones, but they haven't been able to work out the way that they would have wanted to this point.
And
but you got to test yourself.
The 2 false starts didn't help.
Yeah, that
kind of threw him up because I immediately thought Jeffrey Allen was going to go to the front because the first time Allen went to the front, and Allen's a lot like Vorback where they go all to the front and run hard. Even though I think Vorback's a better runner, as far as running in the pack. I mean,
Jeffrey Allen's looked a little off. We saw him last week at Merrimack Valley, and he made no attempt to go to the front of the pack. He kind of just sat right in that 4th position.
In the 2 mile, but in the mile he ran the mile he ran a perfect race.
Yeah.
I talked to Jeffrey afterwards. I said, what happened there? Because I really thought he would have been in the mix because he's running a 4:28.
Right.
4:28 means you can run a 9:30. You know what I mean? And he's just one of those things.
Yep.
I just want the best for that kid too.
Yep. And then today, being the first race, he didn't have that 1,600 in front of him.
I know he worked with me this week, and he had a lot of college visits, I guess, so that can throw you off the game too.
Takes you off the track for your workouts.
Yeah. But Camp Star looked good. I mean, he just doesn't have it all yet, but don't count him out.
No,
he's been there before. Tangway's been there before. Huberdeau actually, I think Huberdeau ran like a 9:55 last year, and so he's not far off. There's a kid, senior year. I hope he gets it together and pops a good one too. David Reynolds is tough.
Yeah.
He doesn't run bad races. Kaylee Coffin, though, she looked good.
She did. She had a great race.
Yeah, she would have been leading that. She would have been leading that race in the first lap.
Yeah, her first lap was about 1.5 seconds faster than the boys. Was.
She did that all by herself. So, freshman, she looks good.
Well, looks like we missed the first. I didn't even see that first heat go off. I believe these are the unseeded hurdle trial.
So no races. Billy Powers today.
No Billy today.
Is he at Penn Relays, you think?
That would be my guess.
He's definitely good enough to be there.
Oh, absolutely. I got the email in my inbox about all the big invitationals this weekend, but most of them were college invitationals.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot more invitationals during the winter.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think for the high school kids, they want to be, they want to be getting those times in early rather than late. As many colleges have already committed a lot of runners at this point in the season.
Right.
But it's not unheard of that a senior would be committing this late, even up until May.
We have quite a few heats of this, right?
We do. So the first, only 3 of these heats are considered seeded, and will make the finals.
What is that again?
So they have the top 18 of the 3 heats.
Yep.
top 18 athletes are put into those 3 heats.
Okay, gotcha.
And they'll take the heat winners plus the next 3 best times. And then anybody not in the top 18 still gets to run, but they run afterwards. Looks like we've got a
Actually, this kid's
Portsmouth
pretty good.
Christian athlete.
He looks
Concord.
pretty strong.
Yeah. We don't know that athlete's name, but I think he will be moving to the finals. The boys will do their trials first, and the girls will go second, so that only one movement of the hurdles is required. It's one of those time-saving maneuvers that meet directors will use.
Yeah, it's a great, it's a great thing to have that. I remember back in the old days, they never used to do that. But every little bit of time-saving measures is good.
Well, in all of these heats run in lanes, that's where the time saving really is made.
So back in the
3,200, although it is a longer race, you can run 30 kids all at once, so you only usually do one heat of it.
So what was the restart and issue? The gun wasn't loud enough to click to.
Correct.
Do the
The starting mechanism needs the pressure wave to trip there's a membrane inside of it. Got a Concord athlete winning this heat.
And Felice.
When it has when it just makes the puff but no noise, it doesn't trip that starting mechanism.
Right.
So I think they ended up actually doing that 3,200 boys by hand. I don't think they had the FAT. Fully automatic timing. Still hoping at some point to get our system working so we can see the names of all these runners and their heats. Hopefully by the finals that'll be up and running. This is where the time is lost in between heats, as you can only run 6 kids at a time, so you've got to do multiple heats. And a minute here, a minute there starts to add up.
Yeah, it's up. I tell you what, this is going to be one of the better days we've had up here, though.
The
no
wind isn't too
cloudy.
bad. I've seen a few bugs, but not too much. It's not raining.
No,
Ground,
nice.
The fields are a little wet, but
last week, Merrimack Valley and Nashua North.
It was windy as heck.
I couldn't believe how many tents.
Yeah, we saw a couple of tents blow over at Merrimack Valley, and even the tent that we were hanging out underneath. Greg and I were grabbing onto the tent every time the wind blew strong. You want those big tents on the infield blowing into the track.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
It's like we got our next heat ready. Got an issue with the heats of the hurdles. So you had mentioned to me earlier that you were excited about the boys 1600.
Yeah, that's going to be a good race. You got Tyler McLaughlin, who's strong.
Yeah, we saw him win the 32 last week.
Yeah. Vorback, of course. I mean, Vorback's the best track runner in the state. Let's be honest.
Right.
1,600 mile, 2 mile, 3,200. I don't care what it is. I mean, kid's running 9:14. He's going to be in there. But if you let Spencer Sawyer hang in your living room, he can outkick both those guys. So.
Well, I saw him indoors run one of the best 1,000 meters that I've seen in the last few years.
Yeah, when he ran at 2:32.
Yeah.
Yep. Matt O'Brien too. If Matt O'Brien can stay connected, he can outkick those guys too.
Yeah.
Those guys have really good kicks.
They do. Yeah.
Kieran Murphy, he's kind of in between on all those guys. So you got 5 really strong guys. I'm thinking maybe 425 will win that.
Yep.
But that should be an interesting race.
That's a race where you really can't sit back and
unless you absolutely know if you're Russell Brown.
Well, true. That's true.
Outkick anybody.
If you can run a 4:05 and everyone else is at 4:20.
Right. But again, why would you do that?
But you just hang with them and then blow them out at the very end. But in a race like this, if you're Russell Brown, you're not holding on to try and win. You want to.
Yeah, you want to get some fast times.
Very fast time. Conditions are still going to be pretty decent for the 16. It's not hot. It's not windy.
Yeah, I mean, as I was brought up, when it's championship day, you go for the win.
Right.
Anything else, you're going fast.
Go for the time.
Bottom line is, let's lay it out there. Let's see the bestest. Let's see who the fastest is. Same thing during cross-country season. No one cares about all the other stuff. It's nice to win those, but bottom line, it's winning your division championships. To me, is the most important.
Yep.
And then I really think, the MOCs, that's more of an individual thing. But you got to get your team qualified for New England and then New England's.
And then New England's, right. And if you're one of those teams who's thinking New England's early in the season, you really don't care about how those early, dual meets, tri-meets go.
Yeah, train through it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the Concord guys already have their eyes for New England, so they're already training towards that.
Right.
That's their ultimate goal.
Right.
Because it's in New Hampshire next year.
Yep.
I mean, they lose a few guys, but they got guys that fill the spots.
So that first meet they're going to do probably at NHGI again. They won't be really concerned with
they're just
with winning anything.
Their whole goal is New England's. But I'll tell you what, statewide, Winnicott's going to be tough. They're going to be good. Pinkerton's going to be good. Co-Brown's going to be good. Oyster River's going to be strong.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams. So 6 teams go. 7th team's still going to be a decent team.
Right. Seen some really decent Kingswood runners, too. We saw a kid who was in the first heat of they ran
Wyatt
slow
Pooler.
To fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he ran a 2:05.
Yeah, he has no business being in there. Wyatt Pooler was a lot better than that. I think they had that seated wrong.
Seated him incorrectly because I saw that, and I'm like, what is he doing in that first heat?
Immediately when I went back and I looked at, because I was at the national meeting.
Yeah.
I went back and I looked at it. I go, well, why is he in there?
Yeah.
This kid's fast.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, Kingswood.
They've got a good team.
In the 4x8, Winnicott and Concord, and you watch, National North will end up stacking with your guys.
Yeah.
But Kingswood is good.
Yeah, they've got 4 quality guys who can run 2:05, 2:06.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but I saw that Wyatt Pooler boy. He did hold on good. I mean, he went all the way through.
He almost made it to. Yeah, he almost.
He ended up coming in
took
third.
The win. I believe he got third. Yeah. Yeah. That last heat knew they couldn't sit on their laurels and just go nice and I mean like you said they got to go after the.
Well, remember last year with Allard being in the other heat from
first
Bellamo?
Heat of
yeah. And he throws on a 156.
Yeah.
So it forced Bellamo to run a 150.
He had to be. Yeah. He had to go for it.
And Bellamo ended up running a 152 before the end of the year. I think probably.
Yeah.
I think it's
one of the faster times in the state.
It's top three of all time.
Russell Brown's again.
Yeah. I'm not sure if Pregent back in 1968 ran faster, but still pretty good.
Well, prior to Russell Brown, I believe it was Joe Highland from Concord. Who had
No, Prejean. 152.
Okay.
So Prejean had it forever. That was like the oldest record on the book.
I know Highland ran a 152 or 151, so it must have been close
he was in
to
there.
his time.
There's been a lot of 153, 154 guys.
Yeah.
I think Sean Manelli, I think he broke 150 last week for UMass Lowell.
Yeah.
He's been running good. He was a 153 guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he was one of those
that show up championship day, kick your butt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he was a winner.
Comes into the meet, with like the 12th seed, but you know that he is one of the studs that you got to watch out for. Got our next heat of boys. So I think those first 3 heats were our seeded heats. Not sure if that was intended or whether that was by accident, but things should move a little bit smoother.
Do we get the results back from the 3,200?
I've been seeing the looks like we do have our computer up and running now. I believe Coffrin had 11:01 in the girls' side.
Yeah, so she ran even. She ran a 5:30, 5:31. That's perfect.
And I have not seen the boys' results. They are live results though. To see if we can find them. It'll be nice when we have a hardwired internet connection up here and we can do this live. You'll be able to hear this meet broadcast, but it's going to be uploaded well after the meet's completed. Let's see, boys 3,200. Max Ireland 934, Forrest McKenzie 942.7. Cam Starr 944.6, David Reynolds 945.5, and Colin Donnelly, it's that Winnicott team you were talking about, 947.8, and Joseph Curran from Nashua North 959.3. That's our top 6.
Those 6 guys under 10.
Yep. And then Alex Duncan was also under 10 in 7th spot, 959.8.
So that's pretty good. I mean, have that many guys under 10, but
yeah,
they could have had a lot more if they didn't dilly-dally around.
That's right.
They come through at 72 would have been okay.
Yep.
But come through at 80. I don't know. It's frustrating. It's frustrating when you see that.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've got a couple girls in the state who can run a time faster than that. First lap they went out.
Yeah. Jackie Gaughan, she won the Penn Relays the other day. So she's ripping it up.
Yep.
Did we talk about the girls' mile yet? Because that's what I'm really excited about.
Girls 16?
Yeah, 1,600. I'm more excited about that than I am the boys.
Okay.
Because I think it's going to be a good match between Anna Harmon and Julia Robitaille.
Yeah. Now, I saw Girton here. Is Caroline Fisher going to be in that?
I didn't see her name listed. I don't think she's in here today.
Yeah.
She had a little issue last week. She went out and ran hard in the 2 mile and kind of collapsed at the end. She won. But so I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not. But she looks strong.
Now the boys' heat. This is Cunningham from Nashua North, Hinrichsen from Coe Brown, and Clifford from Campbell. Looks like we are done with our boys' hurdles now, and we're going to be moving to the girls. So looking for those first 3 heats. So we're going to do the unseeded girls first. Nope, my mistake. That was the 1600 unseeded they were talking about. We'll wait for the hurdles to be moved. Any other names in that girls 16?
There's a few other, but those are the really 2 highlights. And Anna Harmon, it's her first spring season. So.
Yeah, we saw her at Merrimack Valley last week run 2:17 the 800.
Yeah, she's strong. And she goes after it too, so she did that.
Yeah, no, she ran a 600 this year at the end of the indoor track season, and she lapped somebody.
Yeah, she's tough.
So when you can,
I think
you can lap somebody in a 600.
I think if she was around last year with all those girls that were running, 209.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been good.
Yeah.
Because I mean that was the best field, and you had a lot of girls that were good. New Hampshire's strong, but man, that was really fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, the girls 800 for the last 6 or
Schofield
7 years has been
Schofield got the
outstanding.
best, right? She beat Kennedy.
Yes. Yeah.
And the girl from Bedford, she was right there
Yep.
too. So that was all of them.
Yeah. No, they're
good.
and then you reach back to Megan Duty and Hannah Parker before them.
Yep. I even I think those girls were a step better.
Yeah.
Hannah ran
time wise,
yeah,
206, and
206
Megan was 207.
Yeah.
So
they were a little bit better.
Yeah.
And Hannah ran a 206 as a sophomore.
Yes.
So
208 as a freshman, 206 as a sophomore, junior, and senior.
Yeah, Forrest came home the other day, and he ran a 206. And I said, yeah, it's pretty good. And Hannah Parker did it as a sophomore. I never let his head get too big.
Yeah.
I've
It's got deflated every once in a while.
Every now and then. That's good again.
So our first heat of girls. Those are not girl names that are showing up on our screen. Again, we've got our first 3 heats are where our qualifiers are going to come from. So my hope is by the end of the season, they'll have figured out which blanks they should be using in their guns.
Yeah, hey.
Because this is not the first meet where I've seen the starters have that issue.
Right. I know they're having all the issues with gun control, but I think you can leave blanks off the list.
should be off the list, you'd think, yeah. The blanks and the pistols are okay to have. It's like they're having some girls must be unsure of what heat they're going to be in. Oh, we've got we got an empty lane in a seated heat. We had the names coming up on our screen for a little while, but this looks like a Sanborn runner. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Portsmouth, Concord out in lane 6. So she'll be making the finals.
Yeah, speaking of Sanborn, that should be a good race, too, in the 400 women's Devaney against Allard.
Yeah.
Freshman girl, Allard won 59.
Yeah, she won 2 individual and 2 relays last week at Merrimack Valley. Very good runner. Very young, too.
So that should be a good one.
Should see our next heat coming up. It was working for boys unseeded hurdles, and now it's not working. Like all of a sudden, I just started getting. There's our next heat. Couple of Londonderry girls. A Nashua South. That is Londonderry who's going to win that.
I think it's one of those rare occasions where a single hurdle didn't get touched.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
Well, that could either be a good thing or
they
were
high.
jumping way too high over them, so they
Yeah.
would not have had any chance to contact them.
That's the thing about Billy Powers. I mean, even remember what happened last year. It's the one event where you can be the #1 seed.
Yep.
It's
And
still
things
something
can
can
go
go
wrong.
wrong because
Absolutely.
there's something.
Yeah.
There's something in front of you that can
Yes.
cause all sorts of issues. And I think he was just so jacked up last year.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly he's by far the best. And
Yes, and I hesitate to say that in a early season race he could easily be too jacked up, and
Yeah.
He's also looking well beyond
Yeah.
the New Hampshire meets at the end of the year.
but I mean, you look at him; he looks like a regular guy. He's not really
He
tall.
does. He's right.
He uses every
Average build.
Yep, he uses every bit that he's got.
Mr. Colby.
I mean, he just skims.
Yeah. Our third and final seeded heat, I believe.
It would have been nice to see him
Co-Brown
against
athlete.
Demal McFadden,
Yeah.
head to head.
Right.
Be cool to put all the best hurdles out there that of all time, and
Yep.
just to see how they'd battle it out.
You're right. Pete Root from Merrimack.
Yep. Yeah, there's been some great ones over the years.
Yep.
So, Dave, as we start our girls unseeded for the hurdles, what do you look for when you're trying to find a hurdler? And then can you talk to us a little bit about form as well?
Sure. Well, unlike the boys, the girls' hurdles are much lower, so it's less about their form and more about their speed. You want, the hurdling events really are sprints, but more so for the girls, they really don't have to have that technique that the boys do, like Billy Powers. We were saying that he's an average build, not terribly tall, so for him, the form is everything. He has to have very, very good technique. He's got to be clean to get over those hurdles, whereas these girls are racing over much lower hurdles.
Right.
So it's much more about their speed than it is about their form.
Remember a few years back when you had Garnick and Holmes?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
those girls were
they had good form, but certainly they were all about speed.
Yeah, they would rip them through them.
Yeah. Garnick and Holmes both could run sub 60-second 400s.
I mean, you can look down, and if you see their heads bobbing,
Yeah.
that's what you're looking for. You almost want when you become a really good hurdler and you're really efficient, it's like the head stays the same height.
Yeah.
All the way through.
The head, the whole torso
Right.
really doesn't move up at all. The leg comes up and the hips have to go up a little bit, but really the torso doesn't move.
And you got to be fearless about, you know what, you might
hit it.
You might hit it
wipe
with your
out.
back leg or whatever,
Yeah.
but that's bottom line. You got to
Yeah.
go through it.
You may eat pavement.
Oh,
And all the best ones do.
Yeah, I saw.
They're just on that line between, totally wiping out and getting over the hurdle.
I saw a wipeout at UNH, and it was probably one of the worst ones I've ever seen. Got hung right up in the hurdle and went down. Hands were down on the side and come down basically head first.
Face first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no hesitation. You cannot be timid and be a good hurdler.
I know when I used to run the steeplechase in college, I learned my lesson once. I hurdle and I caught it with my leg. I said, well, that's not a hurdle. Then I always just kind of ride above them just a little bit.
They don't push forward when you hit them.
John Snell.
One of our emeritus announcers. A very small heat. We've only got 2 girls in this one. So that should do it for our unseeded girls. So we should be having our seeded heats up next. I'd like to take a chance to remind you again that this is NewHampshireTrackandField.com, powered by Runners Alley, coming from the Co-Brown Black Bear Invitational in Northwood, New Hampshire. Today's Meat Hub sponsor, William Verwey Physical Therapy, your running experts. Check out the NewHampshireTrackandField.com for all the race videos, the interviews, recaps, photos, results. Will all be posted following today's meet. And since we're not live, you will be able to look at all of that while you're listening to this broadcast. We should be seeing our girls' seeded heats of the hurdles coming right up. Looks like we have an empty lane. That's Caitlin Koval of Merrimack Valley. Winning that first heat. Will be advancing to the finals later in the meet.
And Tyler from Nashua South. We're looking for those gentlemen at the long jump.
So heat winners plus the next 3 will be advancing to the finals later in the meet. Just identifying runners. Should see our next heat on the track soon. We've got a full heat in the next one. We've got St. Thomas, Sauhegan, Conant.
All right, I just wanted to let you know. Thanks, I appreciate that. Yep.
There we go. Is also a 5-person heat. Looks like our St. Thomas runner is in the lead.
Yeah, so she's got nice form.
Yeah. She will advance to
Solid.
the finals. Should have one more heat in this seeded hurdles trial. Our 3 heat winners and the next 3 fastest times will be advancing. Good form, but she was very aggressive. That St. Thomas runner was attacking each hurdle as she came to it, not hesitating.
Yeah, you got to be fearless. You just got to look through that hurdle and just go.
And the girls being only at 33 inches for their high hurdle height makes the makes that form a little bit less important, but still.
How important do you think it is to be left-footed, right-footed, that you can do both if you get your steps mixed up?
For the straight race, it's not important at all.
No.
For the 300 or the 400 hurdles, having the inside lead leg is a distinct advantage to having the outside lead leg. It keeps your momentum moving with the turn instead of against it. We've got a White Mountain athlete winning that heat. She will advance. Yeah, and really in the 300 hurdles too, you want to be able to swap.
Right.
You want to be able to swap legs.
So when you're training your hurdles, are you training them both ways, or are you just training them to go down through?
It would depend on which of the the hurdles that those athletes are going to focus on, but typically in high school you'd have kids doing both races, so you'd want them to be training both legs. They will obviously focus on one primary lead leg, but all the drills can be done, both sides of the hurdle. So even even the kids who've got the left leg lead, you would want them practicing with the right leg lead so that they can do it if they needed to.
What's the hardest thing, like a kid when he develops like a stutter step, breaking of that? What do you do for that? Do you break it down into small segments?
To break that habit, that's probably the toughest thing in coaching, to get the kids to understand that, to trust themselves.
Right.
That the stutter step is a result of their mental block that they have, thinking that they can't get to the next hurdle without it. There's a bunch of different training tools that you can use with kids. You can put padding over the hurdles. You can make the board like a tearaway, like it's Velcroed, so that if they hit it, they just go right through it. Any of those techniques to get them to understand that they can plow right through the hurdle and it's not gonna hurt them.
So the first heat of 100.
Yep. Just repetitive use of those muscles is going to make them better.
Okay, Wyndham got that one.
Yep. And like the hurdles, we do have unseeded and seeded hundreds as well. So I'm not sure if this is the unseeded or the seeded.
Yeah, it's unseeded.
Yeah.
I recognize a couple when I was looking at the sheet last night. Tyler Troy's in there.
Yeah.
Tyler's turned into quite a pole vaulter.
Quite the pole vaulter.
12.6
Yep.
on the resume.
Yeah, that was last year as a sophomore, so
Yeah,
we'd
that's
expect
pretty good.
expect those heights to go up as he continues to compete.
Kid from Keene will be looking for the state record here this year, Scott Rathburn.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely going to some new heights.
Well, that sun came right out.
Yeah, it'll warm up fast if the sun comes out.
I'm already warming up. I have to ditch a layer.
I went running this morning. There's still snow in woods in Bear Brook. Like, it's unbelievable
Yeah.
how much it just doesn't want to go. I was up in Vermont yesterday, and there's still a lot of snow.
It's New Hampshire. Heat is missing a few runners. I had heard last weekend, actually, they had an avalanche warning at Tuckerman and Huntington Ravine.
Yeah, April's a bad month for
Yeah.
that.
Fifth place from Conval,
Gary Colby. Back in the day when I was in high school, I did Tuckerman's Ravine a couple times.
And back in the day,
But it was in June. It wasn't in April.
back in the day when I was a game warden, I carried a lot of people out of Tuckerman.
People carried him out of the ravine.
Right. Yeah, and I almost slipped off the head wall a few times
Yeah.
rescuing people. I don't miss those days at all.
No, I'm sure.
I think one of the most scariest moments of my life was sliding down the head wall.
Well, I've got to say, having done it twice myself and watching people, I believe that the few that I saw did it on a sled, I think is even crazier than doing it on skis.
Yeah.
As strange as that sounds. Just being on a sled, you virtually have no control of where that sled's going. At least on the skis, you can direct yourself. Yeah, we had waited till school was out before we went.
Yeah, I was up there in April rescuing a guy who broke his femur, and I was thinking I was all that, getting up to him first, and
Yeah.
I slid down the head wall, and my ice axe caught, which was nice because I was going to wipe out pretty bad.
Yeah.
Crampons on. I really at that moment, I'm staying there and I'm looking at the snow with my ice axe, and I said to myself, "This is real life now."
Yeah, right. It's like a Winnicott.
I think Alvin
Runner.
actually got that one.
What's that?
I think Alvin actually got that
Alvin?
one. Yep.
Okay.
It was close though.
Seeing empty lanes in these trial heats, you don't like to see that because that usually means we're running too many heats more than we need to be. Ideally, you want to see all 6 lanes full. So there's a little bit of a strategy, too, with the 100 dash. I mean, you think it's short race, sprinters, they don't really have to worry about anything, not like the 2-milers or the milers, but
Right.
the top sprinters are going to be running multiple heats during the day. And, they might want to save a little bit for the finals.
Yep.
Especially if they know they can win their heat easily. You'll see some of them kind of look to their left and their right 20 or 30 meters ahead of the line, and they may throw it into cruise control.
I always got frustrated by that when I would watch the Olympics and stuff.
Yeah.
Or some of those big meets, and they're throwing in cruise control. And I go, oh, if we just kept the pedal to the metal, it'd be a world record.
Yeah.
I don't know if those world records are ever going to get broken by Usain Bolt.
I mean, it's going to take a really special runner.
It is.
I mean, he just had the combination of speed and height. Like,
Yep.
you'd watch his stride, and he would cover that 100 meters in 2 or 3 less strides than the next guy.
Yeah, National North has smoked that one. He did good on that one.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he was so much better than everybody else. I bet you if you did like a percentage of his times compared to the next guy and any
Yeah.
other thing, I bet you his might be the best.
I mean, he's put up individually some of the all-time, if you look at the all-time top 20, 100, and 200 dashes, his name appears multiple times on that list. He wasn't just, a one-and-done kind of guy.
But then again, I thought Michael Johnson's records were going to stay up a little longer than they did. And
They went down.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it went down from the 8th lane. Newkirk.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, records are made to
They're
be broken.
meant to be broken, right?
Championships are forever.
Yes, they are. Yeah, nobody can take away that gold medal from you.
Well, no, you can. If you're like
Well-
Louisville basketball.
Well, that's true.
Or Michigan
yeah,
basketball.
yeah.
All of those ones
Yeah.
have been. I can't imagine.
Oh, Ben Johnson, the other
Oh,
Johnson.
yeah, Ben Johnson, yeah.
They can take those away from you.
Yeah. So I guess they're not. It's 11-3.
Yeah. If you're doing it legally, they
Yeah.
can't take them away from you.
That's the frustrating thing, too, I have with sports is, you have a high school kid looking up to some of these records, and you wonder which records are tainted and which ones aren't. And
Right.
It's like the Tour de France. I think you
Like
could probably
Kennett?
you could probably go down the list and keep scratching everybody. It's gotten
Yes. Right.
I got to a point where it's so bad.
Yeah. And in different eras, different, shall we say, different practices
Right.
may have been legal, let's say in the 60s, but now, it's not okay to do. Like blood doping. Nobody
Right.
knew about it in the 50s and 60s, so if people were doing it, they were doing it without, any knowledge. And then once it became, more of a mainstream thing,
Right.
then they decided, oh, you can't do that.
And, one of the big steps they took this year was when they didn't allow Russia to go in as a team.
Right. But let the individual
Yeah.
athletes from Russia compete.
And then they get caught, and I think of all things they got caught in was curling.
Curling, yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're still the Soviet Union. But,
Yes.
I
Yeah,
don't
they
care
are.
what anybody
Right.
says. But, I'm glad that they're finally hammering some of these countries.
Yeah.
We're at fault, too. But
Oh, I was just about to say, we've had our fair share of
Yeah.
Marion Joneses who've won medals and then had them taken away.
Yeah, it's so sad.
Yeah. I mean, and to me, as an American kid who was running track, I was looking up to the, Carl Lewis, showing my age.
Right.
But, you feel embarrassed when those athletes are caught doing something they shouldn't.
Yeah, it's like the home run thing with McGuire and
Mhm.
Sosa. It's like everything got tainted so bad.
Yep.
And it just destroys the record books. And
Yep. Well, I
don't
mean,
know.
my wife and I took her father to the Cooperstown, the Hall of Fame, and you look at the display boards, and Hank Aaron's
He's still
all-time home run record.
Yeah, he's
It says, there's a mark next to it. It says, old record, but everybody who goes in there who looks at Barry Bonds,
Yeah.
they say, yeah, well,
I know one thing. I remember 755 more than I do 762.
right,
You know what I mean?
right,
And I know which one's right and which one's wrong.
right.
But that does make you feel bad.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with Hank Aaron. I remember being sent to bed before Hank Aaron was getting up to hit his 715th home run.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember sneaking out and looking around the corner and watching it get hit.
Just to watch
And-
it.
Yeah. And
Yeah, it's history.
it's history. Now and believe me, Barry Bonds would have been Hall of Famer. He would have been everything. But
Even without.
yeah, he was a great
Well,
player.
there's a feeling among sports writers that he's not ever going to make it into the Hall of Fame now.
No, I don't think Roger Clemens. I don't think
Nope.
a lot of them will.
McGuire won't probably, and
Yep.
yeah, Sosa. I mean,
And I don't. You know what? I'm not gonna.
Sosa wasn't a Hall of Famer. I
Right.
think without that, without that help, he wasn't a Hall of Fame.
But I can't blame them
caliber
all
guy.
individually. I think the whole MLB knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And the organization itself, and you know,
They allowed it.
They want to win.
Yeah.
There's money with winning.
Yep.
And I could see the temptation by these guys. You know, like Alex Rodriguez. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know, you're playing in the minor leagues, and someone tells you, "Hey, take this," and you jump up, and next thing you know, you're making $20 million.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's just like, well, there probably isn't a lot of people that wouldn't do that,
Right.
because it's gotten so commercialized. I remember when Larry Bird, basketball player, was making $2.5 million a year, and that was big. And then I was reading an article.
Michael Jordan comes on.
Yeah, I was reading an article this morning about Kevin Durant,
Yeah.
and he's going to take a cut and pay. But he could make $35 million a year. $35 million.
Yeah, yeah, and he's gonna do the honorable thing and take a pay cut. Yeah,
right, if you figure out how much money he's generating for that team, and it's gotten out of whack.
Yeah,
it's gotten out of whack, and it's never coming back.
It's a huge business now, whereas 40, 50 years ago, it wasn't as much of a business as it was. People liked it as an entertainment. Logan, could we get another one? Because there's two of us in here. All right, thanks.
Yeah, it's crazy the how much money is involved in it now.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is televised and everything's big, and it's marketed to be big.
Yep.
I remember back when I was growing up, we were watching tape delay NBA games during the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know? But we didn't have any internet, so you didn't know who had won ahead of time.
Right.
Now you can just click and see.
It's like Londonderry winning that heat.
Yeah, he's ripping.
Yeah. All right, this looks like we are now moving to girls 100 dash. So these runners are hoping to get back to the finals a little bit later in the meet. New Hampshire not really known for the sprinters that have been produced, although there have been some great ones.
Yep.
Relatively speaking.
I mean, Dominic Worsley.
Yep.
He's the best of all time.
Yes. Yeah, no question there. On the girls' side, there's some old records. Angie Johnson from Nashua. She still holds the 100 and 200 record, I believe.
200 record is Kathy Lawson.
From Keene?
Yeah, that's the longest record on the books now.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Oh, Dominique Twombly had come close, I think, to Angie Johnson's record. Don't believe she quite got it. But both of those records, Lawson and Johnson, were before there was fully automatic timing, so those were both hand timed.
Yeah, so you never know. I mean, there's some records you just think, wow, is it ever going to broke?
Yeah.
Like the high jump record, Dwight Barbier's 7-1, I guess.
Yep.
And then Filiano throwing 65 feet.
I mean, the shot put particularly because, as you look around the state, the last couple of years, somebody who could throw 50 feet was, is probably going to win their state meet.
I had a funny incident happen this year during the winter. I'm standing there, and we're standing in line down in Boston at Harvard, and Marcus Roper's in front of me.
Yeah,
I come up to him and I was just being kind of a wise ass. And I said, "Hey, geez, the only good shot putter in the state." right? And I said, back in my day, I said, we had 350-footers on my team. He goes,
Yeah.
where are you from? I said, Portsmouth. He goes, my father went to Portsmouth. His father's a teammate of mine.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Actually, I helped coach his father, and
Yeah.
his uncle was a teammate of mine. And we really did. We had 350-footers
Yeah.
on my team.
No, I can remember when I first started coaching in 2003, and I was at Spalding, so it was Class L at the time. But to make the finals in the state meet, you had to throw close to 55 feet.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Just to make the finals. And, there was 2 kids from Nashua who were both throwing 59, 60 feet. So, I mean, that was pre-Nashua Nashua South and North having been split, but still, to have multiple kids on one team, both able to throw 55 plus was pretty outstanding.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now I look at it and I go, man, that's winning a meet at 43 feet.
Yeah.
And nothing against the kid. It's just like what's happened. And it goes in cycles.
Yeah. I think, though, the bigger impact with those throwing events has been the number of football players who are no longer doing track in the spring. They've become specialists, and they are now competing in their main sport all year round.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure specialization is good for overall.
I mean, my opinion is that it is not the way to go. I've read articles that have been written taking both sides of the issue, saying that in order to get noticed, in a state like New Hampshire, you've got to be playing, particularly in sports like soccer and basketball, you've got to be going to those big jamboree invitationals because that's where the college coaches are going to be. But at the same time, in order to fully develop yourself as an athlete, you want the variation in sports. You don't want to be, playing soccer 12 months of the year because, one, mentally the burnout, but two, the physical part of it, you're going to be using those same muscles all year long. As a 14, 15, 16-year-old, you're still developing. So shifting to another sport, allowing, your body to recover from your main sport, I think is smart.
Yeah, and I like kids playing all the sports. Maybe once you get a little bit, maybe junior, senior year, then you can. But
I mean, even then, though, I can remember, 20 years ago, professional athletes, guys like Michael Jordan, they had played multiple sports in high school.
Exactly.
Multiple sports in high school. Some of them even multiple sports in college. And they just that was what people did. Bo Jackson.
Yep.
Deion Sanders, guys who were actually able to play at the professional level in multiple sports.
I know I've been coaching for 33 years now, and my favorite kids to coach are the multiple athlete. And I don't know if they just bring a different tenacious.
I think they have a different attitude.
Yeah, and I think they can reach down a little better.
Right. Sauhegan. I mean, there are parallels to be made with other sports, and particularly in track and field. Having that kid who's been, on the free throw line with 1.5 seconds to go and his team's down by 1. You can't recreate that pressure in practice anywhere. So having somebody who's been in that position, for like a relay runner, like that they're used to that pressure and they're not going to cave. And they just have a different attitude, I think, towards practice too. They're used to showing up 6 days a week and doing the same thing over and over again. They're not trying to negotiate their way out of workouts and
Exactly.
And they're going to get more out of their practices, I think, than kids who only do one sport. I'm always surprised at the number of kids who who show up on the track and they're like, the only time I've run before is when my coach was mad at me when I did something wrong.
Exactly.
And then they realize that running's not so bad, so they go back to their other sport and they're not afraid of it anymore.
Yeah, my biggest pet peeve in life is, I hate running. You hate running because you never really ran, I guess.
Right.
I can't function if I don't get a run in.
Yeah.
I couldn't be standing here right now as calm as I am if I didn't run this morning. I mean, it's just one of those things. It becomes part of your life. And
Yeah. I mean, as I've gotten older, I've appreciated the fact that I can still run even more.
Right.
Because I look, I live in Concord, so I see a lot of people who don't run, and you see them out and about, and they're kind of doing the waddle down Main Street, and I say to my wife, I don't ever want to be that person.
Yeah. No, the bottom line is you got to get out and you got to move. You got to do something.
Yeah.
With bike,
Stay
run,
active.
swim. Just stay active, work hard. I always feel better on the days that I work hard.
Yes.
I feel like you've accomplished something in
Yep.
life.
I mean, whether it's running 100 meters or running 2 miles.
Yeah. And it's like some of the kids that, what we had today, we had entry limits. I mean, it's no knock on the kid. He can't do it. It's just, you have limits. But,
Right.
a couple years down the road, you might be one of those kids. It's nice during the week when you have those regular meets where everybody can compete and stuff like that.
Yep. And on the weekend, you've got
Yeah.
the bigger meets where the better kids can get together and run together.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's nothing against the kids who can't get into these meets. It's, you work towards it. It's like that Central athlete forgot to take her jacket off before she raced. Wanted a little more resistance. Maybe she needed an additional workout for the week. And some of these kids who are, they have a meet like this as their goal, probably aren't looking to, get into their state meet, but this is kind of a stepping stone along the way. You hope to get into an invitational that has a cutoff, and then you're hoping to get into maybe a state meet by the time you're a senior.
It's all stepping stones.
Yeah. It's like I want to make my JV team my freshman year, and maybe by the time I'm a junior, I'll be on the varsity team. The number of empty lanes in some of these heats, they may just be running through them rather than reseeding to save time.
Speaking of Concord, I'm going to the Justin McKinney show tonight.
Are you?
And
Is that at the Capitol Center?
Yes. Have you ever heard of Justin McKinney?
No.
Justin McKinney he got voted best clean comic in the United States.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he is funny as heck. And his father grew up with my father.
Okay.
And his father's a twin. His father lived under a bridge in Portsmouth, homeless guy.
Yeah.
And his uncle's a millionaire. So, but he's written a book now,
Yeah.
his father and stuff like that, and he's always a close friend. But his older brother, was in my homeroom.
Okay.
And, I mean, this kid's made it big time now.
Yeah.
But it's just funny that the whole show's about his father. And it's
Yeah.
beautiful. His father's got this, he's not homeless anymore. But
Yeah.
I was just thinking of that.
At
in
one
Concord.
time, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Concord's gradually bringing in more and more things that are, improving the Main Street was a big step.
Yeah, no, it's definitely doing well. Manchester's done well. I think Portsmouth's still the best.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah,
but
Portsmouth has
you can't
by far the best
yeah,
downtown area.
because it's got the water and everything else.
Yeah.
And it does good for itself.
Yep.
But when I grew up, when I was a younger kid, growing up in Portsmouth, it wasn't that good.
No,
It was good, but not like
not
not like
how
it is now.
Yeah.
No, it's. I mean, maybe a little over commercialized now. But
Yeah.
Dover's got their act together, you know. So some of these
Yeah.
cities are starting to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the Seacoast area has
Yeah.
much more history than Concord does. You
Right.
know, the city's 100+ years older than it.
But I think the state as whole is. I mean, you always hear the knock of what's going on with the opioid clause. You know,
Yeah.
it's there, yes, but all in all, the state's still the best state
Oh, agreed.
in the United States. I don't care what anybody says. Still the best.
And we're not biased at all.
No, I'm not biased. I'm telling you the truth. I like Vermont, but Vermont doesn't have an ocean.
Yeah.
It's just an
No,
upside. It's an upside down New Hampshire.
I need the ocean. Yeah. I need the seacoast.
Yep. I think Vermont might be prettier. But
Oh, the White Mountains are pretty nice too.
yeah, the White Mountains are nice.
That's Ziana Twombly from Oyster River, younger sister of Dominique Twombly, who we were talking about earlier, having been close to the state record at one time.
Have you guys ran over to Oyster River yet?
We have not. We have not. They put in a brand new track last year.
I know we have a middle school race over there next week.
Yep. There was word that they would like to host the state meet at some point in the near future. But I think the consensus was they need to do a few home meets, and they got to learn how to, run a meet well before they take on something like a state meet.
Right. Is it a 6 or 8?
That I do not know.
And the New England's this year will be held at UNH.
Yep.
So we shouldn't have a parking issue.
No, not like we did at Winnicott.
Well, last year the New England's that we had, I mean, great place, but parking was tough.
I thought you were speaking of the debacle from 2001, which is the last time New Hampshire held that state. The
Winnicott.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was in many ways not a great meet.
No.
Nothing against Winnicott.
I do like
it really
having
had nothing to do with them.
I do like having the state meet at Winnicott because it's always usually cool enough there on a hot day.
Yeah.
Because of the sea breeze and stuff. So when I was growing up, that was like really the only real fast track around. We still had a cinder track in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
So Winnicott was the closest one. So I'd always go over there, to run. And it was nice.
Yeah, the Seacoast had a couple of the first all-purpose weather tracks. Spalding was one of the first.
Yep, so be nice to get into Phillips Exeter's indoor track next year.
Yep. Yeah, the teams are already looking to reserve some time, practice during the week. The great thing about the Phillips Exeter versus the UNH one is that the Phillips Exeter teams practice during the middle of the day, not in the afternoon like most New Hampshire schools. They actually do their athletic practices right after their lunch period, and then they go back and do afternoon classes following that. So they won't be competing with any of the area high schools that want to be on that track. Larry Martin is very excited about the prospect of getting a few meets there at Phillips Exeter next winter.
I guess Phillips Exeter is going against regular Exeter today.
Are they?
Yep. But I was talking to Tim Cox the other day, and he said Will Coogan is actually playing baseball. And he's a 421 miler, 420 miler.
Yep.
Jake Winslow's like a 420, 420, 421.
Yep.
So that would have been a showdown. But I guess Will's still playing baseball, and good for him.
Yep.
All the guys I
Like
coach.
we've got now. We're moving
Unseeded heat.
1600s.
Yep.
All right.
So then what we'll do? We come back to the hurdles.
So after the
And hundreds?
unseeded 16s, we do a short break.
Yeah.
So that officials and everybody who's volunteering can get a little bite to eat. And then we come back out and basically start like it was a regular meet. We'd do the 100 hurdles, 100 dash, seeded mile, 4x1, 400, 300 hurdles, and finish on out the meet that way. And we should probably see multiple heats of these unseeded miles.
Yeah, there was quite a few.
A lot of entries. So we're going to have a barrel start here again. Get some of the field on the waterfall start of the finish line, and then some others on the staggered waterfall in lane 3. Hopefully we can get these heats off without any starting issues.
Ladies, right up to the line.
And we go with our first unseeded girls, 1600.
How many heats of this we think? 3, 2?
I was going to say 3. I think I saw 70-plus entries, and they're taking top 12, I believe, to the seeded heat.
$12 or 18? I think 18.
18 to the final?
I think so.
Okay. These unseeded miles are always interesting to me.
The girl that's
'Cause
leading
they-
right now is Mary. I saw her run last week, and she's actually she's pretty tough.
I always wonder, are some of these kids just like really inexperienced that they don't know how fast they should be going, and do they go out way too fast?
Wow, is that Jimmy Mack? He's my hero.
It's mine too.
It's everybody's. So you must have seen this girl running at Nashville last week?
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
she's pretty strong.
80 seconds for that opening lap.
Yeah, she'd be right there in the kill in the boys' 2 mile. I'm not gonna let that go.
No.
No, actually, it doesn't bother me that much. It's just a wasted.
Yeah.
It's just a wasted effort.
Something I haven't mastered yet, eating and talking at the
Yeah,
same
I don't
time.
want to do that.
No, you're right. That girl's
Yeah, she's
she's
pretty
pretty
tough.
strong.
I thought the same thing last week. Wow, she's going out pretty hard, but she held in there
She
pretty
was
well.
able to hold it.
Yep. So you never know when a kid's going to actually surprise and make the next jump up.
Yeah.
Remember last year we were talking about that Bedford kid? Was it Zach Vero?
Yes.
Remember he was down and he almost he popped a really good time, and then that set him on to be really well,
Yep.
run really well.
There you go, Lauren. There you go.
Well, I mean, I can tell you as a coach, it's tough when you have a big team. You've got 10 or 12 runners, and, you want to give each kid equal time. But at some level, you're also, trying to develop your best athletes and trying to get them as much time as they can. So if you make a big improvement like that, all of a sudden you now show up on the coach's radar, and you may get a little more face time. And the more face time you get, the more you can improve.
Right. It's all about the effort you're going to put into it to get to that. If you're content, I see so many girls, and I can name a few, but I'm not going to name names, that I know they're really talented, but for some reason they don't want to upset the apple cart and go buy their own teammate or something.
Yes. Yeah.
And when they, they definitely can do it, but they just, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want my teammate to feel bad, so I'm not going to beat him.
Right. I say there's that weird thing about it, and I always say, hey, listen, never be friends with anybody.
Yeah.
Okay? During the race. The
Right.
race is over. You can be friends with
Shake their hands, give them a hug. Between the gun and the tape, though, you're competing with everybody.
Again, I'll go back to me and Scott Clark tying at a Thanksgiving race. And we both had great times and everything else. And the head guy goes like this, well, I only got one turkey. We flip for it. Clark goes home with a turkey. I'm like, I will never tie again. I would rather lose outright than lose a flip.
Yeah.
I can't control the flip.
No.
So Scott had.
You should have pulled out your knife and just cut it in half.
Yeah. So Scott had turkey that day. I had peanut butter and jelly. Is he here today? Belmont's here, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he still only does their indoor team, though, officially. I mean, I think he'll obviously be volunteering and helping out with their spring and cross country.
Yeah.
But big meets, Belmont kids running, you'd expect him to be here.
Right. Yeah, I just haven't run into him yet, I'm sure. He'll probably come blindside me like Mike Smith did today with my hands folded.
Tackle you. Should be finishing right now.
Yep. Well, second place you
got.
Oh, look at the girl closing from one account.
Oh, wow. She's going to run out of
you got to
run out of track, though.
I don't know.
Nope. Not quite. If it was a full mile, if it was a full mile race, she might have been able to get her. 5:30-ish for the winners of this heat. Not bad.
Now, are we going slowest to fastest or fastest to slowest on this?
I would say probably fast to slow.
Fast to slow.
Yeah. I think that's usually how
these ones
the
go.
Black Bear heats usually go, fast to slow. I will be willing to put money on the fact that the winner of that heat will beat somebody in the seeded mile. They'll beat somebody.
Somebody always shuts down the engine for some reason.
Yeah. Or somehow gets into the seeded heat.
Yep.
Without ever having put up a time before.
What are you saying, coaches lie?
No, of course not. I would never say that about my colleagues.
Is it just alternative truths?
Yes.
Alternative
facts.
Alternative facts.
Just an alternative fact. Yep. Well, every once in a while you also see somebody who puts like a 1,500 indoor time as a 1,600 seed.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And you're like, what are you
I tried to explain that to a parent the other day. I said, hey, your son needs to run a fast 2 mile.
Yeah.
He goes, well, he ran a 9:30. I said, I looked on his thing. It's 11 something, but he ran a 9:30, and I'm like, no,
3,000.
Yeah, you want to add another 40 seconds on that. And that's still pretty good, but I mean, it wasn't what they were thinking. I go, it's not a 9:32 mile, it's a 9:33,000.
Right. Big difference.
It's like in cross country. Well, my son ran this week, and he ran that this week. I go, yeah, because it's 2 different courses.
Right. He ran 2.8 miles last week.
Yeah.
He ran 3.4 today.
And next week he's going to suck because he's running. And it's like, don't take it out on him. You didn't do anything wrong, but you can't compare courses to courses.
No.
There's 2 courses that matter.
Derryfield and Nashua.
Derryfield and Nashua, and maybe your own home course record.
Yeah.
But other than that, no one cares.
Right.
Those are the 2 that matter.
Right.
But even then, you look back on the records, doesn't matter. I mean, some of the times, Patrick O'Brien, I'll tell you why. He could run so much faster than everybody else because he didn't have anybody pushing him.
He didn't have,
He could go out there and run whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
He could run it 5 different ways, and he still was going to win by as much as he was just that much better than everybody else.
Yeah.
But then if you get a year where it's like Cam Daly and Liam Kimball, there's a little bit of strategy that goes in there.
Yeah.
Jeremy Broussard never ran a real fast time at Nashua.
No, he never had to.
Because you know what? He could outkick anybody.
Right.
So.
Right. He was just going to hang right on their shoulder
Yeah.
and blow them away at the end.
So you look back on it and say, well, so-and-so's a better runner than I am. I'll take all that. Thanks.
I mean, you can go back to earlier than that too, and what would Jeremy Broussard or Patrick O'Brien do up against John Mortimer and Zach Downing?
Matt Downing.
Matt Downing,
yeah.
Excuse me.
You wonder.
Or Corey Thorne.
Corey Thorne and Eric Jenkins.
Yep.
And, hey, now you want to start throwing some guys in there? Dean and Mark Kimball. They was as good as anybody.
Yeah, Dean Kimball had the 2-mile record for a long time.
And he was so much better than everybody else that, maybe the time's a little distorted.
Right.
Bruce Buttersworth. He was long before Dean Kimball. Ran a 9:12 on a cinder track. Where do you put that one?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you don't know what people can do. It's like comparing even just Michael Jordan versus LeBron.
Right.
Or Larry Bird versus somebody. It's just one of those things. It's hard. I watched basketball the other day, and this is what kills me the most. Everything's about the 3-pointer.
Yeah.
And they miss and they miss and they miss.
Yeah.
Guess what? 3 is only 1 better than 2.
Right.
But 2 is 2 better than 0.
2's better than 0.
All right? So if that easy shot's in there, why aren't they going for it? I watch the Celtics,
Yeah, a 30% 3-point shooter is considered outstanding.
Right.
But if you shoot 60% from inside, you're scoring way more points.
Exactly. That's why I think, with an Anthony Davis or an Embiid, one of those guys, those are guaranteed points.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Shaquille O'Neal,
yep.
He shoots 70%. Why wouldn't you go inside?
Yeah. I mean, Walt Chamberlain with the NBA scoring record, he wasn't shooting 3-pointers.
Right. No.
Take 40 shots in a game, and if you're making 60% of them,
right,
it's a lot of points.
And that's why, even like in baseball, you think about the math that goes on and how you figure things out. I mean, there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of I don't know how a guy can get like Andre Jordan can shoot 65%, but then he gets on the foul line and he can only shoot 40%. Rondo, the same thing.
Yeah.
This is like, you can't make that shot?
Yeah. One to go.
Breeze is starting to pick up a little bit now.
Yeah.
Though. Not bad, though. I mean,
Keeps it cool.
Yep.
Now this heat winner, I think, is also going to beat somebody in the finals. We got 200 to go. So this isn't quite as fast as that first heat.
Yeah. But still, she's going to come through.
She's going to be, yeah.
Should be 5:45.
Yeah. 5:45, 5:46. Nashua South runner.
$5.48.
5:48.
But pretty much all
Still
by
probably
herself.
going to beat somebody in that unseeded heat.
I think we're just going to have 2 heats of the girls.
Yeah,
I don't
I
see any
think
other
you're
girls
right.
here.
I think you're right. 2 heats of boys, 2 heats of girls. When we talk about all these past runners from New Hampshire, I've always wanted to see if you could somehow, simulate all of the previous historical greats, simulate a race with all of them together. I don't know how you could do that, but
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be tough. I think on the women's side, it's a little easier. Jackie Gahn is second. Kathy O'Brien's the best.
Yeah,
Kathy
yeah.
Shero is the best.
Even though Jackie's got her records.
Yeah, but she doesn't have the national.
No.
But I mean, she won Penn the other day, 9:34.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy ran 9:15.
Yeah.
So it's close, but I still think, and it's not. Hey, there's nothing wrong with being second behind 2-time Olympian.
No, not at all.
But it's clear those two are 1-2 in my eyes.
Yeah.
On the boys' side,
it's much more open. Yeah.
I mean, the overall resume, Eric Jenkins overall is the best. Now at this point, you got to.
Yeah, I mean, considering what he's done post collegiate career, I would agree with that.
But in high school itself, when a guy goes on and runs at 8:44, that's way better. I think the next guy after that's like 8:58.
Yeah.
Think about that. But head to head, if some of those other guys were in that same opportunity, I don't know.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, Matt Downing won a national championship, so I'd have to put him right there.
Yep.
As high school, maybe the best ever.
Mortimer won
he was second
national championship indoors.
Right.
And he was second to down and outdoors in the cross country season.
So those two guys are right there. Russell Brown, what he's done. It's weird.
Yeah, again, he's had a great collegiate and post-collegiate career.
Right.
And he was a very versatile runner. Like he had range. He wasn't, just a 2-miler or just a miler, because and Jenkins is the same way. He's got tremendous range. He can go 1,500 all the way to 10K.
I mean, Jenkins has probably gone 25 seconds faster than anybody in the 5K.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
He's running like 13:05. Gideon Prince out with the lead.
I saw him at Boston. I think he finished 4th or 5th in the 5K behind True and the African runners who were there.
It was a 13-year-old kid that ran 15:42.
Wow.
In that race.
Wow.
I was talking to Tim about that the other day. There's some wheels there.
Yeah, no kidding.
So it's Gideon Prince from National North. Gideon's starting to make another jump. He's starting to look good. He's been running hard all spring.
Yep. Now, with the cutoffs in these seeded heats, it is kind of tough for the kids right on the bubble.
Yep.
A runner like Gideon probably is good enough to run in the finals. He could hang with them.
He's perfectly capable of running 445, 440, 445.
Yeah. It's a big field. A lot of guys on the track.
It really is. There's got to be 20 guys.
Yeah. It's like another equally large 17. 18. So we're getting an update from the meet management saying there will be no break in between unseeded 16 and the hurdle finals.
So 3:37 at the three-quarter mark.
Yep. So it'll be like a 4:45-ish, right
Yep.
around where you were thinking.
Yep. That's pretty good. Gideon's,
Yeah.
he's coming around this year. They're going to be counting on him because Nashville North's going to be losing their two
Vorbach's
studs.
a senior, right?
Yep, Vorback and
Is Ireland.
Ireland. They're both seniors.
Yeah.
So they'll have Curran, who's quality, and then after
Yeah.
that, they're going to have to build up some guys
Rebuilding.
because they've been strong for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, not just in cross country too. They've had some very strong track teams as well. Some outstanding sprinters and jumpers. Zachary Jenkins.
Yeah, if Nashville was just one team like it used to be in the old days, they'd be pretty. They would have won.
Oh,
They would have won a few more titles.
easily.
Oh, here comes a good kick. Running out of room.
Yep.
So what are we
Yep.
looking at for a time?
4:46.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
That's
pretty
right
close to what
on.
I said.
Right on.
So I think that might even be a PR for Gideon.
Yep.
So he's definitely looking up.
That'll beat somebody in the seeded heat. Almost guarantee it.
Yeah, I would say so. Get out of the shadows of Vorback and Ireland, and he did something on his own, and it was good. 4:46, not bad. It should be a good one too. There's probably another 18 runners in here.
Yeah, I believe this is our second of 2 for the unseeded.
And the middle school miles coming up after this.
After this one.
Good.
That's always a fun one, interesting one. It's good to see what's coming down the line.
Right.
So like you were saying, looks like we got a pretty big field again.
I like these big fields.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a big fan of it when it's a championship race, but
No, I think this is a great number for this type of meet.
yeah, perfect. Because you never seem to get stuck in no man's. If you get stuck in no man's land, it's your own fault in these type of races. You should be able to lock onto someone a little bit better than you and move along.
Just looks like another moment from the timers, and then we'll be ready to roll. Yeah, again, sun keeps coming out, keep dipping between some clouds, but
When it comes out, it's nice. And then it goes back in, it's cool. So it's like hot, cold, hot, cold. But overall, it's a perfect day to race.
Yeah, when you're running this, you don't even notice that.
I was saying that this morning when I went off our run. It was foggy and stuff, but you could just tell the air was a little thick, but the air's nice now. So when you get the wind coming from the north. The guy's taking it out pretty hard.
Yeah, it looked like a clean merger. No real issues, but that one gentleman who did win out, looks like everyone kind of got back to him.
Right. Sometimes in some of these races, when you get that many guys, you gotta make your way to the front. You don't want to be too far back and then not be able to do what you want to do.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's easier just to get to the front and then make people work to get around you.
Right, exactly. You know, the 2 mile, you might be able to get away with it a little longer. The mile, you know, you don't want to get where you don't want to be.
Yeah, I know we saw that in the cross-country season with
I'm on 440 pace.
with some kids pretty far back, but cross-country you can make up that gap.
Right.
Even if you lose the shoot.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mile's a little bit different.
He was talking about that race the other day. But it's a good thing to happen to you, too. So you live and learn, and
Oh, yeah.
some kids would have felt folded up and, you know, not did it. He got himself back in the fight. And
Yeah, so as we take a look back on the track, looks like we've got a group of 3 that kind of separated themselves, and then group of 4. Poor guy stuck all by himself, and then another pack. But that group of 3 trying to stretch out that lead a little bit. Doesn't quite look like they're going to get too much farther than that. Coming through the 800.
Yep.
We're at about 228, which puts us at 456 pace.
yeah, so they come off a little bit on that first, because the first one was in 70 seconds, so slowed up a little bit, but I don't think they're going to beat the first heat there.
Right. And that's not too much of a surprise to see in unseeded race like this where, you know, you take that first lap out hard and make
Right.
sure you get up to that spot that you want. So it does look like we're having a little bit of a lead change now. I think his coach just told him something and he needed to go, so he went around picking it up.
Made a good move there. Is that a Cole Brown kid or a Campbell kid?
I believe that's Cole Brown.
Cole Brown.
You're going to assume that was, he looked like he surged right after where Tim Cox's coach would be telling him to, so.
But I like the move. If you're going to make the move, make the move.
Oh, yeah, that was very aggressive, and it's exactly what you need, and it is a Cole Brown athlete.
So coming up on 3/4.
Looks like he's coming into the final lap at 3:44.
Yeah, so they picked it up pretty good on that one.
Yeah, it still puts him just shy of 5 minutes, I believe.
Yep.
We'll see if he can get a good final leg in, or lap in, rather. Does look like Timberlane might be moving up onto his shoulder to push him. See what happens on the straightaway as they are neck and neck. And Cole Brown surging just a little bit. And Timberlane coming back, coming around.
Kid in third's probably just biding his time. I don't know if he's going to have to change gears here pretty quick.
Yeah, we'll see that those top 2 kind of pushed it out pretty early. Kid in third is going to have a shot at least second at this point. Looks like first, or Timberlane, who was leading it for most of the race, has come around and is coming on strong. On the straightaway, clock reads 4:44. Does look like he's going to make it a race.
Yeah.
Athlete from Bow, surging past.
Just sitting in there.
He's going to take that top spot. About
456.
456.
Yeah.
So 3 guys right around 5 or under, and then the pack comes in.
He played his cards right,
Oh, yeah. He saw the battle that was happening,
Yep.
1-2 in front of him.
and he didn't get mixed up in it.
No. So smart running from him.
Yep.
Can be challenging to read some of those races, especially if you don't know the kids you're going against.
Right. It's always a little bit easier to figure out when the race is in front of you. If you know you see how everything moves in the race, and when you can pull the trigger. And he played it perfectly. I thought he waited a little too long, but I guess not.
Well, he got the number 1 spot. Whether or not he got the time
Right.
he wanted is a different story. But
I thought over by the 200 he let the gap get a little too much, but
Yeah.
he evidently
I knew what he had left.
he had plenty to go.
And this is our girls' middle school mile coming up next. Recognize a number of those girls from cross-country season. Of course, we have limited coverage of middle school, but I do see,
Sophie Reynolds.
yeah, Sophia Reynolds is the standout to me right now. She had a phenomenal cross-country
She
season.
did. She made the jump.
Not sure I've seen her run on the track, maybe here last year, I don't know, but I am interested to see how she'll do with this. And, of course, Sophia Reynolds is that in navy blue, number 5 from Andover. She is the younger sister of the 2 Reynolds boys.
Yep. And you know how tough they are,
Oh, yeah. Strong running family.
right?
All right, and with the zeros on the clock, I believe we are good to go on the timer side of things. We can see our starter bringing up the gun for the girls' middle school mile. They're off. You can see Sophia Reynolds right away jumping up to that front spot. Not quite tucked in yet, but doesn't need to be.
Some Maine girls in there too, right?
Uh,
TJ Hessler's daughter's in there.
Yeah, I think they a little last minute.
These girls are running pretty good here.
Yeah, I believe that is Fiona in the lead.
Sunny, windy.
So right now, Fiona in first and Sophia in second. Top 3 kind of sticking together.
Yeah.
Then another grouping of 2.
So good race though. All shaping up.
Oh, yeah.
It's not live. It'll be,
So we see those top 3 coming right onto that straightaway. I believe that is Delaney Hessler in third. Could be mistaken, though. Good chance I am.
Yeah, so they're coming up in the 800 and 245. So right on 530 pace.
And we do see Sophia go ahead and take the lead right at that mark.
She's probably not used to having so much company because all during cross-country season, she was pretty much.
Oh, yeah. She knows how to run on her own.
Yeah. These two girls are holding tight with her.
Does look like our lead two have broken away just a tiny bit from our third place runner.
It's going to be an interesting last lap.
And 500 to go. It still is Sophia Reynolds. Although we do have Fiona moving up to that shoulder spot and going around.
Yep, she went around, made the move.
So good back and forth going on. Like you said, should be a good last lap. Coming across 407. That puts him right about that 5:28 pace.
You should be going around this way, not walking through here.
So shoulder to shoulder as Sophia makes another pass. Definitely got a little bit more tactics going on in this one. Stride length has increased. We can tell to pick them up from that.
She definitely hasn't shaken her yet.
No. This might come down to that final stretch. Should be a good one.
She just made a little move right there, Reynolds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's picked it up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Good kick for that last 200. That looks like that was her go mark.
Third place looks like she's going to take over second. Yeah, Reynolds was racing the win. Delaney Hessler will be second place. We're looking at 5:23, 5:22. Hessler's second, 5:24, 5:26, and 5:28. So they had a good last lap.
Yeah, it was a good, strong finish. You can see all of them kind of picked it up with that 200 to go.
So they would have won those other two heats.
Yeah, what do you know about that?
Yeah.
It's good to see the future coming at us,
Right.
right?
It'll be interesting to see where they place up in the seeded girls.
I will say, I believe most of those girls, if not all of them, were 8th grade.
Right.
So.
I mean, Sophia Reynolds is high school ready already.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's good. She would have placed probably top 10 in high school this year in Division II.
Sorry about that.
And the winner of today's boys 16 good luck, even though you know I don't mean it. From Nashua North, Gideon Prince.
Well, they're off for the middle school mile. We don't have any video right now. Aiden Cox took it out hard. Really hard. We back in business?
So we've got our camera back. We're just going to wait for it to finally, you can see on your screen, it's actually just getting right back into position. We'll be good to go with it.
All right. Well, I can tell you right now, Aiden Cox got the lead. Avery Crowell's in second place, followed by Tyler Kasich. They're coming through in a pretty good one here. A lot faster than that boys 2 mile, I can tell you that.
So we can now see Aiden coming across the line for the first lap, coming at about 69, which puts him at 4:36.
Avery Crowell's keeping it close, though. He's pretty talented. He's a little Portsmouth runner.
So as our camera is getting adjusted, last couple adjustments, we can see a nice view of the track today. Looks like a beautiful day. And see if we can't get a closer look at our leader, Aiden Cox.
He definitely took it out aggressively. But Avery Crowell, he's making a name for himself, too.
Yeah. It's good to see. I've seen Aiden at a couple 5Ks in the last couple of months, and he's been very strong looking, so I expect the same. I know he was a little bit sick last week or two, but...
So 2:23 right now, so 4:46 pace. I think Crowell's kind of coming off a little bit now.
Aiden expanding his lead about 30 meters or so.
The guys that are in third and fourth, though, they get their eyes on Crowell, so it should be interesting in this last lap. Crowell just looked back.
And there is Aiden Cox going across the line right now.
3:40.
Pretty good for the bell lap. Should put him in around 4:54.
Lars Hogney. He's got Crowell in his sights. That's John Catelli in fourth place. Lars is a tough runner, too. He played his cards pretty good that time around. He's going to run a good time.
Yeah, he's got a decent kick, too. So
Yep.
As we see it now. You see it on the screen.
Oh, what happened there?
Looks like got cut off somehow or
Someone
tripped up.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
That was hard to see.
I don't know if someone was walking on the track or that can throw you off a little bit.
Does look like it did throw off his stride just a bit. But looks like he's going to go ahead and try to make a final move off this turn as we do see Aiden Cox on that final stretch now.
Looking at about 4:57.
4:58 comes across.
Lars Hogney, like you say, good kick. 5:04.
5:08.
Yeah, Lars had a tough one here last year. I think he ran like a 5:30 something. I don't think he was too happy with himself. So he made up for it today.
Yeah, sounds like a pretty good improvement. So
You watch. He's gonna be a good one for you guys in Co-Brown.
of course, Lars is an 8th grader, with our winner Aiden Cox being only in 7th grade.
That's Tyler. Tyler Kasich.
Another 7th grader.
I got to deal with those kids for one more year. They're tough 1-2 punch.
Of course, Jimmy McKenzie, if you don't know, is coach at Deerfield, which is a local school to us, and goes up against those boys regularly.
Yeah, they're tough. But they make my guys better, and they've made the whole area got better because, we just Deerfield, Nottingham, Barrington, that whole little southeast, definitely tough area. Now you look back on it and go, definitely changed the state.
And you can see it too with Forrest McKenzie and Evan Tangway, like we saw in cross country season, where those two runners were two of your runners, and it's like you said, that micro little area has exploded and now carried over to the high school, and it's just kids just keep pushing each other. So
yeah, it definitely started with the Nottingham girls though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When they won the state title, and then we kind of followed suit right after that, and you guys got all the titles with them. And
yeah, that was the Hannah Parker.
Yep.
Liz Danis, the Scannell girls, Katie and Meg.
Right, and then you had Brooke mixed in with them.
Yep. So that was a very fast group of girls.
Right.
And
they weren't afraid. That was the thing. So we had the finals of the 100 hurdles coming up. It's just one heat, right? This is just the finals.
Just the finals.
I know last week at National North they did something weird. They had two finals, like two heats of finals. Yeah, it kind of threw me off. I wasn't doing the commentating, but they took the best times out of it because they had so many people.
Yeah.
So they went to like I don't know how the heck they did it, but
yeah, you don't typically see.
It was like 2 sets.
You don't see semis at this level,
right?
So
no.
It's the 3 heats that can qualify for the finals. Yeah, it's an interesting way to do it, but just one today. 6-lane track. We'll have 6 runners, so they will all place, assuming they all finish.
So do we have the list of the people coming up, or is that?
I don't believe we have our list working just yet. We do have that clock going now, though, so that is the actual running official time.